everybody, Cal Banyan here. Cal Banyan's Hypnosis, etc. with Meredith Locker. And if you're watching this anywhere except calbanyan.com, go there right now, because right below this, right down there below the video, is all the extra links and information that go along with this podcast or this video show. Let me see, I got my list. This is the second part. This is part 2 of, how to use hypnosis to find lost items. And we call it the 10 keys to finding lost items using hypnosis. And before we get started, let me tell you a little bit about Meredith Locker, my co-host. Meredith Locker, I'm so appreciative that she comes all the way down here from LA to do these episodes with me. She's a master's degree in psychology. She's a former psychotherapist, and she was like a triathlete or something. She's very strong, and she's smart, and she's nice, and she loves dogs and hypnosis. How you doing, Meredith?
I'm doing great, Cal. Thank you so much for that introduction.
You deserve it.
I love it. I love it. Let me tell you guys a little bit about this Cal that I am every day very grateful for. This man works harder than anyone I know. He also was trained as a psychotherapist and did some really heavy-hitting work before he came into doing hypnosis work. And he took that information and melded it with all kinds of amazing information from hypnosis and created the program, the process, the scientific advanced method that we use today, 5-Path. He also created the spiritual 7th path that hopefully you're teaching your clients, because it's just beautiful work. And he is a trainer of the best hypnotherapists and hypnotists in the world, and people fly in from all over the world to see him, and I'm just really grateful to be able to have the opportunity to work with him on these podcasts. Thank you so much, Cal.
Oh, thank you, Meredith. It's so nice to be appreciated.
Well, you are.
Hey, you know what? We've got so much to do. I'm going to try to make a couple announcements really, really fast, because I want to make sure we get through the rest of the 10 keys this time. So, we're streaming this out to the members on our Hypnospace. Check it out. It continues to grow. As we're recording this, I'm at the NGH convention. It's Friday, and I will have probably just finished teaching my courses on Friday. I will have finished teaching, if I got this right, I'm looking on my map of time slots here. Yes, this week that you're viewing this is probably, if I got this coordinated right, is August 7th. Okay, good. Yeah, that seems right. I'm a little bit confused today. It was really hot in here. I think we got the air conditioning working. Phew. All right. So a couple classes coming up. October is the NGH-approved Banyan Hypnosis Super Course, certification course for hypnotists and hypnotherapists. And then also in November, I have the Week of Power Advanced Hypnosis and Hypnotherapy Training. That's for people who are already trained in hypnosis and they want to move it up to the next level, become a 1%er, be the best of the best. No more hypno-wimping out there. I think I got it. That's it. Close enough. Hey, how would you like to review what we've covered so far, Meredith, with the 10 keys?
I would love that, Cal. Thank you. So we covered keys 1 through 6 last time. Please do check it out for all the details. But just to give you a quick synopsis, number 1, you can only recover memories, not make people know what they do not know. So we are not going to implant any information, and we're certainly not going to create hypnopsychics here. We are just going to find out things that are just kind of trapped in the subconscious mind and help people to get back in tune with that. Number 2, we're going to let the client know that trying too hard can keep it from happening. We need a relaxed state of mind. So we're going to cover this, in the pre-hypnosis interview in that time. Number 3, we can even, by the way, on number 2, we can cover that over the phone. Number 3, schedule more than one session to take the pressure off the client. So we want to at least schedule 2 sessions. If they end up not needing the second session, that's fine too. But we want to make sure that they don't feel like they have to perform in one session, that kind of thing. Number 4, in some cases, a memory may not exist to recover. So, for example, if the person was maybe knocked out unconscious or under the influence of drugs or alcohol, that might be an explanation for after the fact. If you're not able to find something that the client actually did know before, you can kind of, find out. Maybe, were you under some sort of substance, and would that explain it? Key number 5, make sure that you do the phase 1 stuff, PTC, preparation, testing, and convincing. So you want to make sure that you do a good solid pre-talk. You want to make sure to do your pre-hypnosis interview, just getting a thumbnail sketch of the problem. No need to go into too much detail. Mainly you just want to find out about the item, maybe a little bit about what it meant to them, and when they last remember having the item. And then down below, there's going to be a listing, or there's going to be a link for the 10 keys to doing direct suggestion hypnosis right. And so that's going to be on the last one. It may even be on this one on calbanyan.com right down there. So that'll help you. And then you're going to make sure that you have somnambulism. Very important to being able to get this information. Number 6, you want to do hypermnesia first. And so that is the improved memory. And you want to do this to 3 easy places to remember. So you're going to look at maybe doing it a time around water, a bike, a swing. Those are kind of standard places. If you've got some other way of doing it, of course, that's up to you. But the water, the bike, or swing works really well. And that leads to number 7, Cal. Do you want to read it or shall I?
Go ahead. Why don't you on a roll?
Okay, sounds good. So key number 7 to finding lost items using hypnosis. Regress to one of these pleasant times, the water, the bike, the swing, or another pleasant event. Okay, and so you're going to do the age regression. So you're moving into phase 2 here.
Exactly. So, we had them first. Hypermnesia was established so that they could remember some pleasant events. Because it's amazing how many people can't even remember pleasant events from childhood. That's why we did that first. And then number 7, I'm checking it off right now. Regress to one of those pleasant times or other pleasant event. And again, we're going to have a link down below there where you can review podcast 108 and 7 actual videos on 10 keys for successful age regression work, so that you can do this really, really well. One of the things you want to do while you have them in somnambulism is you want to take them to one of those positive times and just run them through it. You see, the pressure's off to remember the lost item. Just let them get in there, have some fun, and just have them practice being in present tense. Have them practice re-experiencing. Revivifying means to relive the experience. And you've got to, maybe sometimes you have to coach them. Maybe they don't understand what they're supposed to do, and you need to tell them, okay, I want you to step into that picture as if it was happening all over again. And you might have to have a little discussion with them. You've got to make sure they understand what they're supposed to be doing, the reliving of the event. And you want to coach them in these practice age regressions before you go for the big regression to the finding the event. Make sure that they're experiencing detail. Really help them to go through the event maybe once, twice, 3 times, maybe go to another event where they can really just get into it. And then once that's done, now you can go on to the real age regression after the real, what you want to find the item, that item finding age regression. You can do it with confidence that your client has the skills and ability to do it. Do you want to add anything to that, Meredith?
Nope, I think you covered it exactly as I would, Cal.
You would have done it more plain. I don't know why I'm all tongue-tied today.
I know, what's going on with that? You got all wrapped up with this heat thing.
I don't know. Some days, just some days. Okay, number 8. Now conduct a date-time regression to find the item. Now, I said date-time regression. We don't do affect bridge. And all the other stuff I was talking about, with we're doing hypnotherapy, so to speak. We did mostly affect bridge age regression. We bring the feeling up and follow it back. But this time what we're going to do is date-time regression. That's the kind of regression we were doing when we took them to these positive events. The time around a bicycle, the time around water, time on or around a swing, a birthday, a celebration. those kinds of things. That's date time, taking it back to a particular time and situation. So what we're going to do is suggest that the client go to a time where they reported in the pre-hypnosis interview actually having the item. Let's say, for example, the item was a checkbook. Then what we're going to do is we're going to regress them to a time when they knew they had the checkbook, and just have them go through that event and make sure that they're going through that event as real as those other age regression experiences that you had. Here's another example. It might be a time when they had their keys or a ring or a gun. I've had a couple people try to look for guns. You know how scary it is to suddenly go, oh my gosh, where did I put my gun? You know, I know that shotgun's laying around here somewhere, and you know you got to find it before the cops do. I mean, your kids do, right?
Yeah, actually, those get lost quite a bit because I think people do try to hide them. They'll try to hide them from maybe kids. They'll try to, you know, they don't want a guest to discover a gun or something like that. And so I think people do tuck them away. And I've known quite a few people to lose their legally registered guns.
Yes, we're only talking about legally registered guns here. Okay. Hey, so we run them through that event over and over, make sure that it's very real to them, and then what we do is we simply begin to move them forward in time and find out where they're putting that item down, and find out about the next time they use it, and so on. Move forward to the next time that you have the keys in your hand. Move forward to the next time you're writing a check. And you can do that, and just, you know, it's about being not in a rush. It's about being relaxed. It's about being very methodical and moving forward. One of the things that clients will try to do when you're doing the age regression that will undermine the process is they'll try to jump forward and move through the scene too quick. And you got to slow them down and say, now what's happening? What are you doing? If they're eating, is have them talk about the food. Have them talk about where they're at. Describe the texture of the food. Describe the flavor of the food. Describe where you're at. If they're with someone, describe that person to me. And it really helps them to be into the actual goings on of the event, makes the revivification more real, and that stimulates the mind to find that little thing that triggers the memory, and so that they can revivify the actual last place that they had the item. So, anything you care to add to that, Meredith?
Gosh, I have so much to add to this, Cal.
Oh, go for it.
Yeah, gosh. Well, there are so many different things that you can say to help to amplify the situation or to help the client if they at all seem to be struggling in any way, shape, or form. Or even if they're not struggling, just doing a simple, now in a moment I'm going to count from 1 to 3, and when I get to 3, everything is going to be much more clear, much more vivid than it was before, that kind of thing. Or if they seem to be struggling or really trying to remember as opposed to revivifying, you can do the old, I'm going to count from 1 to 3, and you're going to step into the situation as if it's happening all over again. And everything at that point will become more clear and vivid than it was before. That kind of thing. I find that helps a lot. There are lots of tools that you can use even. You can, if you see that somebody seems to be rushing or seems to be having any kind of struggle, you can have them watch it as if it's on a screen. You can even, tell them that they have a remote control in their hand now and that they are in charge of rewinding and fast forwarding and kind of put some of that back into their hands. You can do it as if they're watching this through the lens of a recorder of some sort of a digital recorder or a camera, that kind of thing, if you feel like that might benefit the client for whatever reason. All kinds of different ways that you can help to amplify the situation. What do you think about that, Cal?
That all sounds wonderful. And it's always so much fun. Usually when they know where it is, I've had so many just emerge right then. They go, I know where it is. They know it's done. They found it. You know what it's like where you can't remember someone's name. And then I go, oh, now I know where it is. Or something triggers your memory. Oh, now I know where my keys are. And so you're methodically, very professionally moving them through the event. And then all of a sudden they just emerge and go, oh, I know where it is. And they want to hug you and kiss you and all that kind of stuff.
Yes, I've had that experience as well. It's really funny.
All your clients want to hug you and kiss you.
They do. And I love that part of my job.
Hey, how are we doing on time?
We have let's see, about 16 minutes.
Oh, okay, good. So let's move on to number 9.
6 minutes, Cal.
6
We have
minutes.
6 minutes
Okay,
left.
good. Number 9, what you can do if the item is not found in the session. Now, while they're still in hypnosis, I like to give them these 3 different kinds of suggestions. One is that I'll just suggest to them that after the session, maybe it's when they're in their home, maybe it's in their car, maybe it's when they're driving home, maybe when it's they're at work, maybe when they're talking to a friend or family member, something will happen that will suddenly trigger the memory and they'll know where it is. Now, that is how Pat Miles found her item. It was so funny. I mean, she left my office, she went straight home. Remember, this is the news reporter, anchor woman who was one of my first finding a lost item clients that I had. And, you know, did the session with the cameras and the producer and everything there. It was kind of fun. And I gave her this suggestion because all we found in the hypnosis was that it wasn't where she thought it was, and that's in her desk at her office or somewhere at her work. She was able to uncover that it was in her home. That's all we could get in the first session. Then the news crew followed her home. She went directly home, and then when she walked in her house, she thought, oh, it's in that room. And she went directly to the room. And then when she got in the room, she goes, oh, it's on that shelf. And then she went to the shelf, and then she goes, oh, it's in the photo album. And then she went to the photo album, and she opened it up, and she thought about her father's picture, or her grandfather, I forget if it was father or grandfather, went right directly to that picture, and then she goes, ah. And it was a very small diary. It was right behind the picture, put there for safekeeping, someplace where she wouldn't forget. You see? And then she looked at the camera and said, oh, must have been coincidence. And that's the way it is in hypnosis. Because it comes from within people, it doesn't even seem like the hypnosis had anything to do with it. But then she came back to my office at her appointed second session just so that she could tell me how it went. And so it was a big success. So suggest that after the session that something will trigger a memory of where it's at. Another thing that you can do is suggest that the information may come to her while she's going to sleep at night, or while she's asleep at night, or as she's waking up in the morning. It could be in a dream or just sudden insight. And that she should be prepared to do this, to receive this information by putting a notepad and a pen next to the bed so that information will have someplace to go. You know what it's like. Sometimes you'll think of something, you'll wake up and you go, oh, I got to remember to do that in the morning. You go back to sleep and it falls out of your head. And I can only imagine how frustrating that would be. You go to the hypnotist and do all this stuff, then they give you the suggestion in the middle of the night, you remember where it is, and you say, hallelujah, I know where my lost item is. The gold I planted in my backyard, I'll dig it up in the morning, and you wake up in the morning and it fell out of your head. One more thing you can do is suggest that in between the hypnosis sessions, the subconscious mind will continue to connect in the mind where the item is, where it was left, so that it can be revealed in the next session. So I just kind of give the subconscious mind some homework to work on that. Anything you want to add to that, Meredith?
Nope, you've covered it beautifully, Cal. I've definitely had the experience with clients where they have, mostly in sleep, either just before falling asleep or during sleep, they've awoken and it's just come back to them. Everything's just kind of reconnected. And I find that those are the clients that were trying too hard even after our talk, and then it's that letting go of going into the sleep space and then the suggestions taking hold that the information just kind of comes out of them, and it's just really beautiful.
Perfect. Good. Okay, can I go on to number 10 then?
Please do.
Okay. Number 10. If you need to do subsequent sessions after that first session, and there seems to be a blockage, like you just didn't get anywhere in that first session, there may be an emotional blockage. And then you can use affect bridge age regression to neutralize the blocking of the memory, i.e. Fear, anger, and guilt. Now, this is, some of you guys are already misunderstanding this. This isn't the emotional connection that they have with the item. It's like the fear. Sometimes they'll be so afraid that they can't find the item that they can't find it. or they're so angry about not being able to find the item that they can't find it, or they're feeling so much guilt about losing the item that they can't find it. And this is actually good when this comes up, because what it's going to do is, what we're going to need to do is go in and neutralize that extra anger, fear, guilt. And we would do that as a matter of course with 5-path anyway. And so here's another case, even with lost items, where 5-path is the way to go. Phase 1, preparation, testing, and convincing. Age regression, if you're unable to recover it, there's probably an emotion blocking the situation. We can bring up that emotion, follow it back, and neutralize it, except in the case, well, if it's fear or any other emotion. If that doesn't take care of it, then we can move on to forgiveness of others, which is phase 3, forgiveness of self, which is phase 4, and then also, this is a case where sometimes there's secondary gain issues. Like, if they find the object, maybe they lose something else important. I know that sounds like that's so doesn't make any sense, but sometimes a person can be in a situation that if they find something, they lose something. For example, a bride and groom, right? He might lose the ring because there's a part of him that doesn't really want to get married. And so that would be secondary gain. What would he gain? Well, in the groom's mind, his freedom, or the ability to not be married. And so we can also find out what that is with phase 4. Let me look at my notes, see if there's anything else I want to talk about. Anger is blocking, move to phase 3 and 4. 3 would be anger at other people, 4 would be anger at the self, and then of course the guilt has to do with phase 4, and those are both forgiveness therapies. All right. Anything you want to add to that, Meredith?
Well, I have a couple questions for you about that. So at what point would you I'm sure once you identify, at whatever point in the process you're at, once you identify that there is some sort of emotion blocking, do you find that you would normally identify that after you've done kind of your date-time regression and that's not really working? Then would this be in your second session?
Well, as soon as I have evidence that the person, even in the pre-talk, this will start to say, that you'll start to suspect this. They'll say, I'm just so angry with myself for not being able to find this. Or I feel so guilty that I can't find my mother's ring. Or I'm so afraid that if I can't find, the money, that I'm going to lose the house. And that can, those emotions can be causing them to try too hard. And those emotions are there. So it's not even like that you can just say, stop trying so hard. They can't help it. There's just all this emotion inside. And we got to go and neutralize those emotions before we can settle them down. So it may be uncovered in the pre-hypnosis interview. That's where you begin to suspect. They may make comments like that when they're going through the age regression, daytime age regression process, and they may just verbalize it, because when we take people to these different events, those are kind of like SSEs, but they're not SSEs. They're just different events in the searching for this item. We still ask them, what's happening, what are you thinking, what are you feeling, which are 3 out of the 5 questions that we ask in an affect bridge age regression. And so we get this, well, what are they thinking, what are they feeling? And that can reveal very strong, powerful emotions that are blocking the process.
Okay, so now would you, when you suspect that this is an issue, would you go ahead and go straight into doing that age regression work, or would resolving the emotion first, or would you try the first way that you described, doing the date time, and if that wasn't working for you, then go into age regression, emotionally speaking?
Well, I'd always start with the just the regular date time, going back to when they last had the item, and then moving forward. And then if an emotion is blocking that process, that's when I'd go into affect bridge age regression work, and 5-path.
And then if you knew that it was anger, just to be clear to people, are you saying to go straight into phase 3, 4, or would you still do some age regression work to verify that it is anger and then move into those phases?
I would, whenever I'm going to do phase 3 and 4 forgiveness work, where you put one person and two people together in the room and they work it out and forgiveness is done. I always do the age regression work first on the feeling. That's why it's phase 2 of the 5-path, because that's where I find out the history of the problem as it relates to the emotion being generated, and also reveals who I will want to work with in the forgiveness process, who they're angry with. Got to find that out in the age regression. It's going to be much more accurate than if I just ask the client, well, who are you angry with?
Sounds good. Well, I think we're out of time, Cal.
All right, wrap it up.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. This is Meredith Locker, filming here at the Banyan Hypnosis Center in Tustin, California, but I work in Los Angeles, California. My website is yourpathhypnosis.com. Please do send your questions to us. There are lots of different ways you can do it. We love it when you join us live. We typically send out announcements ahead of time, and we do live chat through our hypnospace.com. There's also an Ask Cal group on our Hypnospace, and you can post questions there. You can send them to us directly. My email is meredith@yourpathhypnosis.com, and that'll be right down there if you're watching this on calbanyan.com. And we really look forward to answering all of your questions and continuing to connect with you in the future. Take care. Signing off.
All right, this is Cal Banyan. Please visit my websites. This one, calbanyan.com. I also have hypnosiscenter.com, where all my courses are scheduled. And I got hypnosis.org, which is where we organize hypnosis for you. We got some others. And you know what I want you to think about is, let me team up with you. I can show you how to make more money in your hypnosis practice by helping your clients become healthier and wealthier. And I can help you become healthier, wealthier too with my secret project. Just email me at calbanyan@hypnosiscenter.com. All right, this is Cal Banyan signing off.
This recording is the property of Cal Banyan and Cal Banyan's Banyan Publishing Incorporated. All rights reserved, for private use only, may not be duplicated without written permission.